So I have a creepy thing that happened to me a couple of years ago, and I am actually so surprised. Actually, I'm not really surprised that I forgot it because it was so scary that I'm sure I just blocked it out. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I am very sensitive to spirits, that kind of world. I have a bunch of videos that you can watch for reference, but just keep in mind that I said I'm very sensitive to spirit. And I completely understand if people don't believe this, because when I think back about it, I'm like, I can't even believe that this happened. So I'm really into like Reiki and meditating, so I decided to do a spiritual development course. What that looks like is people who are interested in like this kind of stuff, you would go to this class. Each class you're learning different things like how to meditate, pendulums, chakras. One class we were sitting in circle, which is a circle in the dark, and we're just trying to pick up off of other people. So one night we had to try to pick up on the color that people were thinking, and some of us were picking up on the colors that these people were thinking. So the teacher of this class was a Wiccan, a witch, and she was very sweet. You could tell like she's definitely like sensitive to this stuff as well. But one of the classes that she did, I remember her saying, we're going to do something a little different tonight. And for some reason, only 3 people showed up to this one class. We had about probably 6 or 7 other people that just didn't make it to this class. And so it was just me and 2 other women. And the way the teacher explained it was, we're going to sit in the dark. And one person would sit next to this orange or red lamp, and the teacher would try to call spirit to come through this person sitting next to the lamp. And she claimed that when she called spirit through, that we would see different faces come through the person sitting next to the lamp. And we were all like, we're gonna see other people's faces in this person's face. Like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no, you're gonna see it. So one person went up first before me, and it was the craziest thing. I don't know if this was like the devil. Like, I don't really believe in the devil, but this was not normal. Like, this was not, I would say this was not safe. So she's calling, I can't remember what she was saying, but she was calling like spirit through, and it was so dark that you really could only see the shape of the person's face next to the lamp. And you could literally see different faces trying, almost like they're trying to come through this woman's face. It was kind of creepy, but kind of intriguing in a sense. Like, if you're into this stuff, you're into it. So it was my turn to go. I was kind of nervous because, like I said, I'm sensitive. And I remember having this feeling like my body was paralyzed. Like, I couldn't move my body. And I remember I could see, but I remember like seeing and hearing the women like going like, oh my God, like they could see like faces coming through, and like they're like, oh wow, like this is so like cool, blah blah blah. And then the teacher was like, okay, like Carly's time is up, like spirit needs to leave now, like go, like leave Carly's body. And my body just kept getting tenser and tenser and tenser. Like, I literally was like I could not move. And I remember hearing my teacher go, okay, spirit, again, like we're gonna let Carly go now, like you need to leave her body. And then she goes, Carly just needs a minute. And I'm like panicking because I literally cannot fucking move. And it took everything in me to go like this for help, because I could not get out of this trance that my body was in. And my other classmates were totally freaked out. They were like, oh my God, like, is this normal? Like, is this okay? And the teacher's like, trying to stay calm. She's like, yeah, it's okay. She just needs an extra minute. And I was tapping my finger so fucking vigorously trying to ask for help, because like, imagine flexing every single muscle in your body as hard as you can and just being stiff. Like, that's exactly how I felt. I was so scared. eventually, like, spirit let me go, and we were all scared. Like, the third person didn't want to do it, understandably, and I was like, I never did a class with her again. And I even went to the owner of the shop and I like explained what happened, and I was like, kind of like, this is probably not normal, like, or safe. Like, this is not what this store is about, I don't think. And she didn't even know what the teacher did. Like, the owner of the shop is an amazing woman. She is also very spiritual, and she was like, I've never heard of this. And now that woman doesn't work at the shop. So yeah, let me know what you think. If anyone knows what that is, I'm still curious. I've looked it up. I don't know what that type of class would be called, but it was very scary. I also 1000% believe that I am someone who cannot go into like a known haunted house, like go to New Orleans and like, let's go stay in like a ghost hotel. Like, no, I cannot do that because I don't know what would happen to me.
Let me spray this because, baby, this story submission didn't just give me chills. It physically made me look over my shoulder, y'all. I was tripping at work reading this. And hey, toxins, welcome back to my page where I don't spill tea, I brew coffee. And not everything that I serve is gonna be safe. So this was submitted by a woman, and I'm gonna call her Rachel. And she wrote, please do not use my real name. My husband still refuses to talk about this. And every time I bring it up, the air in the room completely changes. Now, this happened about 3 years ago, she said. Rachel's husband worked in heavy construction, and she said every single weekday, like clockwork, his truck pulled out of the driveway at like 5:30 every morning. And he didn't walk back through the front door until 6:15 every evening. That was his routine. It never changed until like one Tuesday. She said it was like 5:40 p.m. and the sun was starting to dip below the trees a little. She said she was standing in the kitchen cutting up some vegetables when she heard the heavy turn of a deadbolt. She said the front door opened and then it closed. She said she smiled and she said, you're home early. She said there was no answer. And then she heard the boots. She said she heard them literally walking across the floor, like heavy footsteps or whatever, and kind of dragging slightly. She said the exact rhythm that her husband always walked in, like after a 12-hour shift. And she said she heard the footsteps pass by the kitchen entrance. She never looked up. She assumed it was him. And then a few seconds later, she heard the master bedroom door slowly creak open. And then it clicked shut. She said she figured he was exhausted and he had like a rough day, and he just went in there to like change his clothes or whatever. She said about 2 minutes later, her phone started vibrating across the counter. And the caller ID said, husband. She said she answered without thinking, I know, dinner's almost ready. She said there was a long pause, and then she heard machinery roaring in the background. Her husband laughed. Dinner? Babe, I'm still at work. Rachel said she stopped cutting, y'all. She said the knife stayed pressed against the cutting board. And she was like, stop playing with me. I just heard you walk into the bedroom. She said the laughter disappeared and his voice became very serious. And he said, Rachel, I am 45 minutes away. I would have lost my shit right there, y'all. She said the kitchen suddenly felt like it was cold, not chilly, but cold. She said the kind that makes your hair stands on your arms. Like the chills that I be getting. She said the house was completely silent, y'all. She said no closet doors, no footsteps, no movement, and no nothing. And she picked up the shelf knife. She said she walked towards the bedroom and she stood outside that closed door listening. She said she didn't hear anything. Nothing. She said she slowly turned the knob. Ooh, chills. She said she pushed the door open and the room was empty, y'all. She said the closet shut, bathroom empty, windows locked from the inside, and there was nowhere anyone could have gone. She said, but there was footprints, y'all. Rachel spent the next 45 minutes sitting on the couch with every light on in the house because she was terrified. And when her husband's truck finally pulled into the driveway, she said she nearly burst into tears. But the second he stepped inside, he froze. He didn't even say hello. He looked straight down the hallway and asked, who's been in the house? Rachel said she felt her stomach drop. And she asked him, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He pointed towards the hallway floor. Only then did she notice the footprints, y'all. She said it was like a trail of wet, black, muddy boot prints leading from her front door straight into her master bedroom. So she wasn't imagining this stuff at all. She said, but it was only one set and it was going in and none coming back out, y'all. And Rachel said she looked at her husband's boots. They were completely dry. He hadn't stepped in mud all day. Y'all, I'm telling you, I would have fucking lost my shit. Boy, nope. I probably would have moved. But here's where it gets worse, y'all. They scrubbed those floors with soap, bleach, steam, everything. The prints disappeared until the next evening at 5:40 p.m. The same dark outline slowly bled back through the hardwood, she said. She said in the exact same places. And her husband finally called her grandmother. And in their family, she was the person that everybody went to when something couldn't be explained. She walked onto that porch. She stopped, y'all. She looked down that hallway and she refused to step another foot inside that house. And she said quietly, some things don't waste their energy breaking into your house. Y'all get what I'm saying? They wait outside your gates until they're mistaken for someone who's already welcome. Did you hear me? They wait outside the gate until they're mistaken for someone who's already welcome. Then she looked directly at Rachel and she asked one question. When you heard him come home, did he ever actually say your name? Rachel stood there for a minute, she said, thinking. She said she replayed everything in her mind. The deadbolt, the footsteps, the bedroom door. But it never spoke, y'all. She slowly whispered, no. The grandmother closed her eyes and simply said to her, good. Now, she prayed over the whole entire house, opened every window, cleansed the entire perimeter, and after that night, she said the footsteps never came back. Rachel ended her email with one sentence that honestly made me put my fucking phone down for a minute, y'all. She wrote, I still don't know what walked through my house that evening, but whatever it was, knew exactly how to sound like someone I loved. Now tell me, if you heard your front door unlocked and you heard a familiar footsteps of someone you love, because I know y'all be knowing people's footsteps. I know people's footsteps. I can tell who you are by the way your body shifts and how you step. Would you go looking for them, or would you wait until they looked you in your eyes and spoke first? Let's talk about this. I'm serving in black today, and I want y'all to drink from a clean source. And don't forget, 2026 mindset is lock them gates. And what the hell do y'all think that was? Anyways, love y'all and see you in the next video.
Wait until you see this photo that one of my followers sent me from Gettysburg. They took this photo after the Jenny Wade and the orphanage tour. They were just snapping photos, not thinking anything of it, until they looked deeper into the photo. Alright, so I'm gonna give you a second. Pause it and see if you see anything. Are you ready for what happens when you zoom in? Okay, so he went ahead and he circled where they saw the lady in white. Do you see her? If you can't see it, turn your brightness up a little bit. You can clearly see her face, her arm, and her body in a white dress. And that was a claim of that area. So they were just taking photos and they were like, oh, maybe we'll capture something. And they sure as hell did. So here is the photo without the circle. I see her hair, her face, and like the silhouette of her body. And it looks like she's even like kind of scrouching up her dress, trying to walk. Tell me in the comments what you think about this photo. I tagged my follower below who sent me these photos. They're absolutely crazy, and he even sent me 2 more. You'll have to stay tuned for those. If you've had an experience in Gettysburg, leave me a comment down below. I want to know. If you've captured a photo, a video of a ghost, or anything paranormal, send it to thirdeyebecca@gmail.com. See you back tomorrow.
After I felt that crawl onto my bed, I don't know if it was a ghost or an interdimensional being like we were talking about, I got up and I shook the bed off, and because I was trying to make logical sense of the situation, I thought maybe there was a rodent on my bed or something, but I felt the indents, the hands up from my foot to the middle of my leg, as if something was crawling towards me in my bed. And I jumped up and I just threw everything off of me. I was looking around and nothing was there. My wife came back to bed. I didn't say anything to her because I didn't want to terrify her. It was like 5 in the morning. I didn't really want to go through that. But the next day, I reached out to MUFON, who I'd already talked to about my contact out in the desert. I explained to them what I seen. I was out there, using the bathroom in the middle of the desert because we were having a barbecue. It was the middle of the night. We were stargazing. After my meditation, I seen this glowing red diamond-shaped plasma. I don't know if orb, UAP, being. It was a little bit bigger than a basketball, and it was about, I'm 6'1", so I want to say it was about 12 feet in the air. It was a little bit 20 feet away from me, but up in the air. And it just, as soon as I looked at it, dematerialized. It like sparked up, like if you lit a firewick off of a firework, and it just lit up and then it was gone. MUFON told me that more often than not, and I still have the emails from them, that when people make contact or they experience this phenomenon, a lot of times they get reports saying that it follows up with paranormal activity at home. So I don't know how the two cross-correlate, but we've been trying to look into stories and reading the data and looking into this. And if you want to check it out and check out my little short memoir experience, check out The Kite UFO on Amazon by Jack D. I really hope you guys check it out and check out my experience and try to cross-correlate it with your own data, because this stuff's really out there. I appreciate you.
If you ever drive through the Gila Indian Reservation at night and see a woman dressed in white on the side of the road, do not stop. Keep going. So Ash decided to attend a Cardinals game with a group of her friends. After the game, they left and decided to go grab something to eat. It started to get kind of late, so Ash decided to leave because she had to go pick up her daughters from her ex-mother-in-law's house, who happened to live near that reservation. It was about 11:45 p.m. when she finally pulled up to her ex-mother-in-law's house to pick up her daughters. She got her daughters in the car. She started to make her way home. As she's making her way towards Casa Grande, which is where she lives, she's going through this like mountain pass. She happens to see this like ball of light just appear out of nowhere. At first she thought that maybe it was like a motorcycle bike that was like flashing, or maybe like a bicycle rider that was like flashing its lights, but the ball just kept getting brighter and brighter, and out of nowhere it just like formed into the shape of a woman. The woman appears in the middle of the road right as Ash is making her way towards her. When Ash sees her, she hits her brakes so hard that little like rubber is like burning from her engine. This of course ends up waking up her daughters. Ash looks back to try to settle her daughters down, and then out of nowhere she gets this bad, awful like gut feeling like something horrible is about to happen. She looks to her left, and on her side mirror she sees a woman there, that same woman, kneeling down, telling her to come to her, like to come get her. Now mind you, it was a full moon, so there was a lot of lighting. Ash got a very clear look of this woman, and this woman had long brown hair. She had a white slip on, and her eyes were completely black. Without even thinking it, Ash just like hit the gas and took off. Once she got over the bridge, she pulled over and she called the cops. She told them that she thought she may have hit someone, that she wasn't sure what happened, but that there was a woman out there asking for help. Right away, 3 policemen went over to that area to search the whole location, and they couldn't find anything. When they went back to Ash, they looked at her and said, "Let me guess, this is what the woman looked like," and they described the woman to a T. Ash was of course stunned and asked, how did the cop know that? And the cop told her that twice a month they get the same call from people driving through saying that they saw the same identical woman. After that happened, Ash started having terrible nightmares. She felt like her life was falling apart. She kept having the same reoccurring dream of the same woman appearing to her in like different parts of the house, telling her constantly to come to her. One day, Ash happened to be at a gathering where her friend's uncle was. Now, her friend's uncle happens to be a medicine man. Not more than 10 minutes after Ash being at this event, the medicine man goes up to her and tells her that there's something really dark that has latched itself to her, and that she needs to get rid of it before it gets rid of her. The medicine man then performed some sort of blessing, but it didn't really do much. Ash continued to have the same recurrent nightmares, to the point that she ended up having to go visit her priest, who completely blessed her and then went to her home and blessed it as well. Ever since then, Ashley finally stopped having the same nightmares about this woman. So like I always say, if you're driving on the road and you see something, you didn't.
Yes, it's very dark. I hope you can see me, but I'll be telling a scary story that I encountered back in high school with my mates. Back in high school, 2020 or 2021, we were in drama class, and me and my other mate were the makeup artists for this course, and then my other mate was one of the actors in this drama class. One night we were holding up a performance show thing one night at the school, and it didn't go on. It went on to like 8 p.m. After that was done, we decided, we should go to the back of the school, because at the back of the school we have a forest, and there's rumors that this forest has paranormal activity that has happened back in the days when my older sister and brother were still at the school at the time, and they were telling us these scary stories. So I was like, we should go back and see if that's true. So we all went down there, and I remember instigating this plan, like, we should do it, we should do it. I was hyping it up the most, and then we got there and I pussied out. I eventually gave in and we all went in together, so that was pretty good. But we didn't make it like all the way through the forest until my friend kind of like froze and paralyzed himself. Like he was frozen and wouldn't move. And we were like, oh, you okay? Wake up. What's wrong? What are you doing? What's wrong? Hello? What? Like trying to get his attention, and he was not budging. Kept looking straight. Whatever was he was looking at, it was fucking traumatizing because we couldn't see it, only he could. And his eyes were big. They were like this, and he was frozen. Like wouldn't move. Wouldn't even like respond to us. I was starting to get scared and I was starting to panic a bit. And he finally responded. He was like, don't keep walking forward. And my other two mates were like deep in the forest, kind of like fucking around and being like cunts and stuff like that. So we're trying to call them back in to come back. And they came back and they're like, what's wrong? And he was like, we have to go back. I was like, okay, yeah, let's go back. Like, I'm not here to fuck around with these shit. So I was like, yeah, let's go back, guys. So he was like, but when we turn around, we can't run. And we're like, why? What's wrong? He's like, we can't run. We have to walk. And I was like, my heart dropped. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, well, whatever. So then he was like, just hold each other's hands. So we're all holding each other's hands and we're walking as calm as we could back out of the forest. And then as soon as we got out, he was okay, he was alright. He kind of like got his relief back in, and we're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What did you see? What did you see? He did not tell us what he saw, and he wouldn't tell us what he saw. And I was a bit kind of off about that, but he didn't have a ride back home, so my dad was coming to pick me up. I was like, oh, I'll drop you off home, because he seemed a bit uncomfortable, and I wasn't going to make him walk home in the dark after that. So we dropped him off home, but the ride was a bit quiet and awkward just because of what he's seen. Like, he just wasn't responding to anyone. And a year after that, I had moved over to Australia, and my friends had came over to the airport to say goodbye to me. And then at the airport, I asked him again. I was like, I'm going to ask you one more time. What did you see in that forest that night? He saw himself. A demonic version of himself. If he spoke about this demon thing, they could hear everything he said. So that's why he never told us, and he kept the hush. But yeah, that was a very scary experience. But I remember flying over to Australia, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it the whole time. Yeah, that's the end of my story. That's the scary story that I wanted to tell you guys. I made that whole thing up.
So when I was a kid, I was in the car with my friend, his mom, and the guy that she was dating at the time. So we went down the block and we passed his corner. And I turn and I say to my friend's mom's boyfriend, I said, oh, your sister, I said her name, keeps hugging that tree. He aggressively turned to me from the front to the back and said, what did you say? Like, excuse me? I got really scared because I was a kid. I didn't know him. And I said it slowly. And then he just kind of had a stone face the entire time and didn't speak to me. After the lacrosse game, he pulled me aside and he apologized to me. Years go by, they're still together. And the mom basically told me that that day I said that to him, you know, he was taken by surprise because he didn't even tell my friend's mom this, but his sister got hit by a drunk driver at that corner where that tree was. And every day he drives past that corner in that street, even if it's out of the way that he has to go to. He was extremely shocked and he didn't know how to take it, but it actually helped him, she said. It helped him kind of get, not closure, but to know like she's still there because he was still very distraught by it.
This picture was taken in 2011. Me and my daughter used to live in a house that was very haunted. In this picture, my daughter was around 3 or 4. I had left her alone in our shared bedroom with my phone, and when I came back into my bedroom, she told me that she had taken a picture of her and her friend. We didn't sleep in this room for a few weeks after that. Me and my friends had gone to High Rolls, New Mexico to take photos of our cars, but unfortunately it got too dark and it was raining pretty heavily. Since we couldn't really get the shots that we wanted, we started taking random pictures of the greenery around us. At one point, we did hear something nearby, but we brushed it off because of the rain and darkness. Later, when we looked back at the photos, we noticed something creepy in one of them that none of us had seen at the time. Me and my friend's family went on a bus tour around the city to the haunted places there. We went to an old ruin in a graveyard. The tour guide said that people have often taken pictures of him there, and a shadow of a face or half of a white shadow appears behind him. I didn't believe it, but I took a picture of him anyway. At first, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but when I got home, I was looking over the pictures and I saw this white skeleton-like face in the red circle.
When I was a child, we moved into a home with a cemetery, and just 6 weeks later, we left. When I was about 5 years old, we moved into an antebellum farmhouse in rural Alabama that had this old family cemetery in the backyard. The cemetery was surrounded by a decrepit wooden fence that had a dozen or so tombstones that looked like they were falling over. My bedroom was on the second floor, and my bunk bed gave me a perfect view of the cemetery out back. One day while my father was at work, my mother took my sister and went to the grocery store. I was left alone in my bedroom upstairs. For context, this was in the 80s. A while after they left, I heard my grandmother's voice call my name from the living room. My grandmother lived in the next state over, so I was surprised to hear her. I thought she must have come to check out the new house. I bolted downstairs to the living room, expecting to see her, but nobody was there. I peeked through the blinds and checked the driveway, and there were no cars. I ran upstairs and continued playing with toys, not thinking much of what had happened. A few nights later, I woke up in the middle of the night, and when I opened my eyes, there was a silhouette of a person standing at the head of my bed. The silhouette was almost like a light blue version of the white noise on old TV sets, but I couldn't see through it, if that makes any sense at all. I wanted to scream for my mom, but nothing came out. I tried over and over again, but my voice wouldn't work. All the while, the silhouette figure stayed there. I don't remember what happened after that, and I never talked about it afterwards. A couple of weeks after this experience, my parents packed up our things and we moved to a different house in the next town over. My parents have passed away since then, and my sister was too young to remember anything. So now I'm stuck with these memories and a lot of questions. As an adult, I wondered if my parents had experienced anything, and that is why they left so quickly. If there are any paranormal aficionados out there, do you have any idea of what that silhouette figure could have been? What about my grandmother's voice calling my name when she wasn't there? What was that about? And that's the end of the story. So the story was found on the Ghost Stories subreddit, and a commenter did leave a question for OP. They had asked them if they had ever done any research on the home, or if they could do research on the graveyard in the home. And OP responded that they never did, they never thought about it, and they did try looking up the home or similar places or properties that had a home plus a graveyard, and nothing came up that was similar to the house or how they remembered it. So they just kind of like left it at that they didn't find the house. They did mention in their response that this house that they lived in took place near or in Saraland, Alabama. So if you're from there or around the area and you're familiar with these types of homes, and have any stories that you would like to share, that would be really that would be really fun. And you can leave them below in the comment section. Also, OP did mention that it was a antebellum home, so I'm assuming that place is extremely haunted. I know those types of homes have a lot of history, so it's an old-time home plus the cemetery, so that place is absolutely haunted. The house and the property, and absolutely the graveyard, is haunted. I believe OP did experience something. They did mention that this took place when they were around 5 years old, and I do believe that children are very susceptible to seeing things that the normal adult doesn't usually see or can't see. I do believe that children, to a certain degree, are a little more perceptive in certain areas. So I do believe OP did witness something. And like I said, that house is probably extremely haunted, so OP did see something, more than likely. And yeah, if you have any interesting or creepy stories having to do with old homes like that, with graveyards, that would be really cool. You could leave them in the comment section if you know anything like that, or lived in a home similar, or there's a creepy house at the end of your street that's like that and want to share some fun stories. You can leave them in the comment section below, or if you would like to send it to me directly, you could send it to my email and I'd love to read it. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? What do you think? Do you think the property was haunted and OP saw a ghost, which I'm leaning towards, or just an imagination of a child because she was, OP was 5. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below.
Okay. Yeah. Started talking to a guy and he immediately wanted me to call him Daddy. You're 5'5". I was talking to a guy. I was talking to a guy that asked if I wear pads or tampons. When I said pads, he said excellent, and I said why? And he said he gets off to the sound of them. Oh. My porn addicted ex I hate him, got so upset when one of his favorite OnlyFans creators left. And he goes, oh, thank God I found her on Fansly. When we're getting real close. It feels like a slumber party. When I was on my period, he wanted to go down. And I said, you don't have to do all that. And he was insistent, even though he never really did before. No, you're so fine. It's okay. It's like a coin purse down there. We don't have to. No, I'm going to. Brother looks me dead in the eye. Yeah, it smells really bad. I know. Remember the time I would visit my ex's family's home and they had wild dogs. So when the dogs would be outside, and they would switch them out, I would have to hide in the bathroom so they wouldn't attack me. They let the dogs outside. I can roam around the house. Dangerous dogs. One night, I fell asleep. I was on the floor. I was sleeping on the floor, and the dogs got inside the house and were sniffing me completely out. And I was like, okay. I wake up and they're like, that's crazy. That's crazy that the dogs didn't kill you.
Appalachian folklore says that if you shiver for no particular reason, someone's walking over your grave. There are different versions of this. Sometimes it's a goose walking over your grave, sometimes a possum or a rabbit. I had a lot of comments asking me to explain the folklore more in detail, and this is the one that people were the most confused by. It means that in the future, after you're dead and buried, if someone walks over your grave, it sends back a shiver to you in the current time. Kind of like the past, present, and future are all connected and possibly happening at the same time. Now, I thought it meant someone in the present time walking over the place where your grave will be in the future. But something I was reading explained it this way, and it actually makes more sense. One really interesting thing about folklore is that it's so similar all over the world. And there is so much folklore in Appalachia that hasn't even been recorded. Some of it's out there waiting to be remembered and written down, and some of it's long lost with the people who knew the stories that are now gone.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Scary and True with Haley. Today I'm going to be reading a creepy Reddit story. This story is by Associate Advance 293 and was posted 6 months ago. So when I was 8 or 7 years old, I was at my aunt's house with my big sister. I was just watching SpongeBob outside, and my sister was talking to her boyfriend in the room. But then I heard my sister's voice coming from upstairs. So I went to check it out. I went to my room, but no one was there. So I called my sister, and she was in her room downstairs the whole time. So I told my sister that her voice came from my room, and she said, "What do you mean? I was in my room the whole time." A year later, she turned 18, moved out, and bought an apartment. So I went to visit her with my mom and dad. My parents went to buy KFC for us to eat, So I was playing with my PlayStation, but then I saw a shadow of a kid running to my sister's boyfriend's room. So then I went to check it out, and there I saw the shadow in the corner of the room getting larger and larger. So I was scared and tried to run out the door, but the door locked itself. Then my brother heard the door closing and went to check it out. And he heard my screaming, so he tried opening the door, but he couldn't. So he tried to open it by strength, and he broke the doorknob. So then he looked inside the door, and he saw a woman hanging herself in the room. He was terrified. He then opened the door and let me out. Then 5 years later, I found out that a kid got killed by a robber while his mom was shopping, and when she went home, she saw her kid dead. So she committed in the same room. Yeah, I could not imagine coming home to my kid not alive anymore. I couldn't imagine. I'm supposed to have these stickers in like a week from now, which today's July 9th when I'm posting this. It says my title on TikTok, username, whatever you call it, Scary and True with Haley, and I'm putting it here. So had a little mishap with my tripod, so I have to get a new one, which thank God they're not that expensive, but it's broke, and now I'm filming you on a little stand thingy here. If you have any creepy encounters, any stories you want to tell me, or any legends you've heard of, anything at all that involves creepy, scary, or whatever, you can message me or you can comment below. So with that being said, that is it with this video, and until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye.
I was only 5 years old, but I still remember what was watching me from my toy box. So I was 5 and I was sleeping over at my grandparents' house, and my sister and we fell asleep on the couch, and I remember looking over across the room at my toy box. I don't know what it was, but I woke up with an overwhelming feeling like something was staring at me. And it was that kind of feeling where you don't want to look, but you have to. So I opened my eyes, and on top of my toy box was something gray. It was so skinny, you could see every bone in its body. And it had like these wings. The wings were so thin that you could literally almost see through them. Like, it looked like it was just skin stretched over bone, basically. It had these really long horns that curved backwards, and it had these eyes that were so pale it almost blended into their face. It wasn't moving, it was literally just sitting there watching me. And I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I was actually pretty calm. I was very confused, like, what am I looking at right now? We stared at each other for what felt like forever, and I slowly put my foot off of the couch. And as soon as I did, it moved and it stood up. And it was very quick, like it noticed that my move went off the couch. I was gonna go run to my Nana and Papa's room. And that's when I could see just how tall it was. Then it smiled at me, and it wasn't just like a normal smile. It was scary. It was very wide, and it opened its mouth really big, and it had super sharp, like uneven teeth. And that's when I realized that what I was looking at was not harmless. I tried calling out for my Nana, and my voice did come out at first, and then I feel like it got quieter and quieter. And then that's when I put my leg back up on the couch, and the thing stopped moving. But we just continued to stare at each other. I realized that if I stayed still, it wouldn't move or come closer or anything like that. So I feel like we literally just stared at each other for the rest of the night, whatever it was. Eventually the morning came, and I tried convincing myself that it was just a nightmare. But to this day, the face is etched into my brain so perfectly, and I still wonder what it was staring at me on top of my toy box.
My girlfriend is suddenly treating me like a total stranger. I'm heartbroken. Welcome back to Creepy Horse and Creepy Pasta. Let's get into today's scary story. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm writing this. My chest feels completely heavy, like someone is directly standing on it, and my throat is so incredibly tight from holding back the tears that it hurts to even swallow. I've just been sitting on the edge of my bed staring at the wall for hours. I guess I just need to vent to some strangers, because if I keep this locked in my head, I'm gonna lose it. My girlfriend and I have been together for a little over 8 months now. I don't want to be that cheesy guy, but my girl is genuinely the best thing that ever happened to me. She just lights up my world. We have this beautiful, quiet routine. She works from home on Mondays and Thursdays, and since I have a super flexible schedule, I always make sure to take care of the little things for her. Every morning, I make sure she gets her coffee exactly how she likes it, iced with just a splash of almond milk. I know she gets stressed out by clutter, so I'm always keeping things tidy, ordering her favorite takeout when she's having a long day, and leaving little notes to remind her how loved she is. I've poured my absolute entire heart and soul into supporting my girl. When she's had a rough week, I'll stay up all night just watching over her while she sleeps, rubbing her back if she tosses and turns, just wanting to protect her from the world. I thought we were completely on the same page. I thought we were building a life together. But out of nowhere, a few days ago, it's like a switch flipped in her head. She started acting so distant and cold, completely ignoring my texts and treating me like I don't even exist. I figured she was just incredibly overwhelmed with work, so last night I decided to surprise her. I let myself into her apartment while she was out running errands. I spent an hour cleaning her kitchen, lightened up the place, made her favorite dinner, and sat on the couch with a pretty pink sweater I bought her, just waiting to see the look of relief and happiness on her face when she walked through the door. But when she opened the door and saw me sitting there, she didn't smile. She didn't hug me. Instead, she let out this horrific, blood-curdling shriek and dropped her grocery bag. I stood up, totally confused, and tried to calm her down. I took a step toward her, holding my hands up, telling her, "Baby, it's me. It's okay, I'm here. What's wrong?" But she just kept screaming and backing away into the hallway, slamming her back against the wall. She was sobbing, looking at me with this sheer, unadulterated terror in her eyes, screaming, "Who are you? How did you get into my apartment? Please don't hurt me." I was deeply, deeply hurt. I mean, the absolute cruelty of it. To stand there and pretend like she doesn't even know my name? After the months we've shared? After everything I've given up for her? I tried to grab her arm just to comfort her, to break her out of whatever weird panic attack or hysterical episode she was having, but she scratched my face and flew out the front door, screaming for the neighbors. I had to slip out the back before the cops showed up because I didn't want us to have a massive embarrassing scene over a lover's quarrel. I've been back at my place for 3 days now, and the utter disrespect is just eating me alive. I've been looking through the telephoto lens of my camera from my window across the street, and I can see she's packing her things into cardboard boxes. She even had a locksmith over yesterday to change the deadbolts on her front door. Why is she doing this to us? Why is she trying to ruin our beautiful relationship over nothing? I've been so incredibly patient with my girl, but this gaslight is driving me crazy. She's acting like I'm a monster. She's acting like I'm just some freak who spent 8 months tracking her every move with a spreadsheet, but I only logged the exact minute she leaves for work and the time her bedroom light goes out because I love her so much, and I need to know exactly when she's safe inside. She makes it sound like I'm a psycho for mapping out the blind spots for building security cameras, but I only did it so I could slip past them unnoticed to watch over her courtyard at night and keep her safe from actual predators. She thinks it's disgusting that I bought a professional lockpicking kit to practice on her exact brand of deadbolt, or that I'd let myself into her place while she was at the gym just to clone her laptop's hard drive. But how else am I supposed to read her private thoughts and learn how to be the perfect man for her? How else am I supposed to protect my girl who was so utterly oblivious to how dangerous the world really is? I did all of that for us, because my love for her is deeper than she could possibly understand. She thinks she can just pack up and leave me willy-nilly without even giving me a proper conversation, but she doesn't understand how deep our bond is. She doesn't understand we're meant to be together. I went back to the hardware store and bought the exact same brand of the new deadbolt she just installed, and I spent the afternoon mastering it. I'm looking through my lens right now, and she just turned off her bedroom light to go to sleep. I think I'm gonna walk across the street now. I think it's time we finally sit down on her bed and talk about this attitude problem of hers. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck, guys!
An 18-year-old student athlete by the name of Nolan Wells went out on a boat trip with his friends to celebrate the 4th of July. He went missing. He was the only one out of his friends to not return ashore, and a body believed to be his was later discovered. So what happened? Nolan Wells was only 18 years old. He graduated high school just last year in 2025, and he was a rising sophomore wide receiver on the football team at Southwest Mississippi Community College. Every single person who knew Nolan, who has come forward to speak about the kind of person that he was, has nothing but good things to say. One of his coaches described him as someone whose, quote, character spoke louder than his accomplishment. His high school principal called him, quote, a remarkable student, teammate, and brother. And his parents have stated that they raised him with a specific set of values, including loyalty and accountability, especially when it came to being with a group. His father would later emphasize that in an interview, making it clear that Nolan Wells knew that if he left with a group of 5, he always came back with 5.
They raised him to always be careful, aware, and intentional about always staying with the group that he was with. On the morning of July 4th, 2026, Nolan Wells and a group of friends set out by boat for Horn Island, an island in Jackson County, Mississippi. Horn Island is only accessible by private boat. It doesn't have anything around it. It's beautiful, but it is completely isolated. For the 4th of July weekend, people go out to enjoy the water, and that day, Nolan was one of them. According to authorities, Nolan was last seen approximately around 3 p.m. on the northwest end of Horn Island. He was shirtless, wearing blue swim trunks and black sunglasses. A girl by the name of Katie had been with Nolan on the north end of the island earlier that day. Katie's mom has confirmed that her daughter has been in contact with Nolan's family, but had no insight into what happened after the two of them parted ways. At some point after 3 p.m., it sounds like it was closer to 4:30 p.m., the group of friends got back on the boat. They left the island, leaving without Nolan. And when they left, according to attorney Ben Crump, who would be the attorney representing the Wells family, they took Nolan's phone with them. According to the friends, they left without Nolan because Nolan said that he was good to stay by himself with no phone on a remote island that is about 8 miles off of the coast of Mississippi. Nolan was reported missing on the 4th, which was a Saturday. As soon as his parents heard that he did not return back with the group, they reported him missing and posted pictures of him all over social media asking for the public's help in finding him. On Monday, July 6, 2026, at around 8:45 a.m., a National Park Service ranger spotted a body in the water just off the northwestern tip of Horn Island. The following day, the Jackson County coroner confirmed by dental records that that body was that of Nolan Wells, who would be forever only 18 years old. His mom posted on social media after receiving the terrible news, quote, "I want to thank our family, friends, community, United Cajun Navy, local law enforcement, and everyone involved for all of the love, support, and resources over the last few days. His father, our family, friends, and I are absolutely devastated. My heart is broken for our sweet son, who was always willing to cheer and uplift others. Nolan was a special soul," end quote. And here's where the story stops being a tragic accident and starts being something that very much demands a much closer look at the situation. Again, Ben Crump is the attorney representing Nolan's family. When he gave interviews on July 8th and 9th, he pointed out a video. Students who were present that day recorded footage in which an altercation can be heard in the background. That footage is now under investigation. Ben Crump has said that the independent investigators working on behalf of the Wells family were looking into whether a voice is the voice of Nolan Wells, because if it is, then it would mean that there is audio evidence of Nolan in a verbal confrontation with someone on the boat the same day that he never returned back home. A different report also stated that in the video, it sounds like someone who sounds like Nolan Wells can be heard saying, quote, "Give me my freaking phone, what are you freaking doing," end quote. And please don't think that I'm pointing out that potential argument as something that is supposed to describe Nolan's character at all, because it doesn't at all. But in an investigation such as this one, every single little detail matters, especially when it is a disappearance that leads up to a death. A death that makes absolutely no sense. And there's more, because when the Wells family received Nolan's phone back, the phone that had been apparently left on the boat when his friends left the island with him, messages have been deleted. Who deleted them, when and why is not something that has been publicly explained. The sheriff's office confirmed that it is aware of the phone and that the investigation remains active. Ben Crump also pointed out that investigators, quote, "continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats," end quote. The sheriff's office has said that it does not currently suspect foul play, but that the investigators are, quote, "working diligently to determine exactly what occurred." And they've stated that they have asked anyone with photos, videos, or eyewitness accounts from the northwest part of Horn Island on July 4th to come forward. If you want my personal opinion, to announce that quickly to the public that there is no foul play suspected is kind of insane. When they do not, I don't think, still have the autopsy results back, that is wild. So it was the day that the body was confirmed to be Nolan's that the Wells family began speaking with Ben Crump, an American attorney who specializes in civil rights and catastrophic personal injury cases such as wrongful death lawsuits. His involvement immediately signaled that the family believed that the official account of what happened to their son was incomplete at best. In interviews over the following 2 days, Ben Crump laid out the family's position and made it clear that the investigation was only just beginning. He said Nolan was a good swimmer. He said that the family did not believe that their son chose to stay on that island. He mentioned the altercation on the boat. He revealed the deleted messages, and he announced that Nolan's body would be flown to Washington, D.C. for an independent autopsy. Nolan's parents appeared on Good Morning America and CBS Mornings to speak publicly for the first time, where they again stated that they did not believe that their son chose to stay on that island alone. Quote, no, he wouldn't. Nolan always stays with the group. If you are with me, you come back with me. So that I don't understand. And with me being a parent, if I was in that situation, I would have told them, you are getting back on this boat with me because I don't want to answer questions to your parents if something happens to you. When asked directly whether he believed that Nolan was left behind on the island, his father answered, quote, yes, I don't believe that he decided to stay on that island by himself. It just doesn't.
So listen to me.
That's not his character. His mother taught him to stay with his group. His friends knew it. Everyone who knew Nolan Wells by every account knew that. Ben Crump also addressed what he has described to be the family's deeper concern, not just about what happened to Nolan, but about who is investigating it. Quote, the family is worried about Mississippi investigating the death of a young black man where young people may be involved, end quote. And this is another quote from his mom. Quote, this is not how I wanted the world to meet my son. Nolan is the kind of soul. He had never met a stranger. He loved everybody. He just wanted everyone to be at peace with one another. So as far as the friends that Nolan was with, do I think that they know a lot more than what they have said? 100%. Because if their entire story is, yeah, we just left and we left with his phone because he said that he would find another ride back, if that is all the information that you claim to have, it's not going to be enough. For anyone that has common sense, it's just not. Because then you're pretty much leaving the only explanation to be that he tried to swim back on his own. Nolan would not have attempted to swim back on his own. The island was at least 8 miles away from shore. No one would try to swim that far. That is just not what happened. So the one thing that has been confirmed is that Ashley Cole, the stepmother of one of the boys that was last seen with Nolan Wells, took to social media to try to dispel some information that was going around on Tuesday. Ashley Cole, who is a local judge, said that she deactivated her Facebook account amid the search for Nolan Wells after photos of her minor children began circulating online. She stated that she wants to help out in the investigation, but that her stepson doesn't know anything and that she wishes the Wells family the best. And her speaking out could be seen very much so as unusual or concerning because she is a sitting judge in Jackson County, the same county whose sheriff's office is actively investigating the case. Judges typically avoid making public statements about active investigations in their jurisdiction, specifically to protect the integrity of the investigation and to avoid the appearance of improper influence. And her position does give her an authority that not every single parent has, which makes her public statement carry more weight and raises questions about what her actual intentions were exactly supposed to be. She also chose to release a statement before the investigators could finish interviewing everyone, before the cause of death was established and before any official timeline had been confirmed. So by putting her version of events into the public first, she effectively shaped the narrative to be what she believes it to be at the most critical and earliest stage of the investigation. What I couldn't officially confirm as far as it being officially reported by authorities, but what people on social media have been talking about, is the fact that all of the boys' friends that Nolan was with deactivated and then deleted their social media accounts, and that they have all lawyered up. And hear me out when I say this, I personally don't think that they are wrong for lawyering up, because in a criminal investigation, whether you did do something or not, to want to protect yourself is normal. However, their actions now, having been lawyered up, is what is really going to tell us their true intentions, because if they have nothing to hide, if they did not do anything wrong, they should be fully and completely willing to cooperate in the investigation. All of their cards should be put out on the table and they should do everything in their power to provide answers. But if they are lawyered up and they are now not willing to talk or provide additional evidence or sit in as many interviews as it takes until the truth is uncovered, then that's an entirely different story. Because then the very valid question comes up of, well, what are you trying to hide? Does that make sense? Like, to me, the issue is not lawyering up. The issue would be not cooperating and not being able to keep your story straight. And I still keep going back to authorities publicly stating that no foul play seems to be involved before getting the autopsy results back is actual madness, as is the fact that this is being investigated as a death rather than a homicide, because this, to a lot of people, including myself, this does not feel accidental. I feel like we can all agree that there's a lot more to this story that is going to be revealed, but the one thing that we can hope for is that this all ends in justice for Nolan Wells and for his family. The results from the independent autopsy that the Wells family had done were expected by Friday, July 10th, so today, but at the time of recording this video, they have not yet been released. released. And I will end this video with a quote, "It is clear that this situation must have the most thorough and objective investigation to lead to justice. What we've been told does not make sense, and being that there is a lack of confidence in the local authorities who have already, in my judgment, seemed to have mishandled where it was going. When we hear that this young man was engaged in some kind of argument that was on tape, that his cell phone and keys ended up with one of the people that were there on the island and got away. He was one black man with 3 young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys. There's just too many questions. They should not be closing the investigation," end quote. So terrible and so sad and so scary. And again, the most important thing I feel like everyone can agree is getting justice for the Wells family. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see where this goes. And as of right now, on this case, that is it for me. Thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. Make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you. Oh, and if you're wondering if there are 2 videos missing that I posted on TikTok this week and they're no longer there, yeah, not my choice, TikTok's choice, but I already put one of those videos on YouTube, and I'll put the second one on YouTube so you guys can still watch it if you're interested. Anyway, I did not choose to delete them. Just wanted to make that clear. Anyway, love you guys.